Hi, folks. This is Elgin Subway Surfer Bowling, your creative caricature marketing consultant. I wanted to follow up on a video that I made this morning, and just to give you a brief recap, it was based on something that I saw on TV on Project Runway, where four of the designers were brought to four different European countries and told to create a garment based on what they saw in the culture. Now, in the previous video, I mentioned that what all of these designers did without consulting each other was to look at things in their environment, the people, the weather, the culture, the architecture especially, and they all began to make the same connections in their specific cities. They began to look at the architecture. They began to look at the way buildings were designed, old against new. They began to look at shape. They began to look at color. They began to look at texture. They began to notice patterns, both in the designs of particular buildings, in the windows, in the wood, in the stone, on the streets, and they were able to put all of this together and come out with something beautiful. And I mentioned that you can do that too. And I began to think, how is this applied to caricature? Because I must have done this. I can see how it's applied to design of fabric that you wear, or even to a conceptual or abstract painting. But how is it applied to caricature? And I think I've got some keys, and so I'm just going to spit everything out unrehearsed, and here's how it goes. Let's talk about size. One particular artist on the show was noticing the size, the I still can't get that word right. Juxtaposition. Thank you to one of my viewers for correcting me on that. The juxtaposition of one building to another. Now, on a particular face, juxtaposition, what we notice, what comes out, what seems to be jutting out at you, and at what angle. Is the forehead jutting out, coming at you like a sledgehammer? Is it going back, way, way, way back in back of you? Is it slanting upward? Is it sloping downward? Is it coming this way? Is it angling up in this angle? Does it come straight up? Does it go straight down? Does it sort of curve and then goes down? Does it sort of curve and go straight up? Juxtaposition, okay? What's big? What's small? What stays the same? What's straight? What's curved? What recedes? What goes out? What is giant against what is big? Juxtaposition, okay, of these different elements. Think of the face not like it's a face with eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hair, okay? Think of the face as a building, as a piece of architecture, as stone. Think about the skull. Think of the skull as stone. The skull is the architecture. This is going to be a bizarre example. And the skin is like this. The skin fits over the stone. Okay? But you're looking at the stone underneath. Juxtaposition. Okay? Size. Texture. Does the person have a beard? Do they have 5 o'clock shadow? How might that feel? Is it grainy? Is it smooth? Does their skin look craggy like craters on the moon? How would you illustrate that? How does that feel to you? Can you get the feeling of that into your picture? That's texture. Color is obvious, but what does the color remind you of? Well, it's easy to say, well, he has brown skin, but it can be brown like coffee. It's easy to say, well, his skin is pink. Pink like what? Pink like a lobster, when it comes out of water. Do you see what I'm getting at? Color. Finally, what patterns seem to repeat on the face? What patterns? I don't have an example for that, but you're seeing what I mean. Okay? just looking at my own face, what is it that you see that is different in terms of size, color, texture, okay? Get your mind moving in those directions. And when you get out in the world, in nature, or in a city, in an urban environment, and you start making comparisons to things and bringing those comparisons in to how you interpret a face, so that the face no longer becomes a face, but it becomes a piece of architecture that has weight, that has substance, that has color, that has pattern. And if you approach it that way, your drawing, your caricature is going to be a lot more powerful visually. I guarantee it. This is Elgin Subway Surfer Bowling, your creative caricature marketing consultant.